Thank you very much. Recording in progress. So as we were talking about before, hello, my name is Drew. And I am here to talk about with you, lovely and talented section leaders, about building your diagnostic skills. So as we see here, diagnostic skill building, part 1 with me. So this is me. I obviously am here. I'm a Region 13 faculty member. I am the frontline director of Pride of Portland Chorus in Portland, Oregon. I am a section leader with a all voices chorus called PDX Voices. I am the baritone section of my quartet, Argonauts. I am a private voice teacher and a coach. I've been singing barbershop since 2005. And I was delighted to get to address a room full of section leaders because although there's a lot of hats that I've worn in my days so far, section leading feels like part of my identity. It feels like such a comfy place to be. And I think section leaders have more ability than almost anybody to really move the chorus in a good direction. You have the ability to connect one-on-one with members in a way that the director and assistant director don't, because they're dealing with the whole chorus. You have the ability to help hone your section into a lean, mean, ringing machine, because you're listening to one part at a time. You can really get in there in the weeds, and you have so much to contribute that adds so much to the music team. So thank you for doing the job that you do. Okay, so here's the goal for this class. When you're in sectionals, there's a lot of things that you might want to address. And we'll get to that in a second, but there's sort of 2 steps. First step, you hear the thing and you have to figure out, okay, what is causing what I am hearing or seeing? We call that the diagnosis step. The second step is, how do I address that in a way that is going to solve the issue that I'm hearing and ideally contribute to fixing it across the board? We call that the prescription step. Tonight is all about diagnosis. And tomorrow morning with my dear friend, Rachel Pack, we will talk more about prescription, what we do once we've identified the issue. So tonight we want to talk about identifying common issues that will arise during sectionals, and we want to talk about how we identify the specific issue. So these questions may be self-evident. If we don't know what the heck the issue is, we can't effectively solve it. So it's really important to be able to identify more than something's weird here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about a little bit about what you already know. I have a little poll with just 2 general questions on it. I want to go through a couple of specific scenarios, a few examples that you might come across in sectionals, and talk about what we might do to identify the issue. And then I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios to talk through, to suss out on your own. And then we'll discuss later what might be going on and what tools we might use to diagnose the issue. So if you've been in a section before, you may know there is a lot to notice. I'm not going to read this entire list because it is daunting. But your eyes as well as your ears are really valuable tools here. You can see if people are looking at the music or if they're looking up at you. You can see if they're engaged emotionally with the music or if they're monotone. You can read the mood of the room by looking at people's faces, seeing what they might be feeling. Among other things, you can see alignment. If you've been to the rock band school of alignment, you can see alignment. You can see all sorts of things going on in the face and in the body that can affect the sound and the efficiency of tone production. And then you can hear it as well. um, how the sound of the singing, is it tentative? Is it too loud? Is it at a single dynamic level? Do we hear its issues with individual production? Our voices popping out of the unit? There's all sorts of things that we can hear as well. So it can be overwhelming. Luckily, some of the things we hear and some of the things we see match up with one another, and can help us to come and diagnose the issue. So really quick, Rachel turned me onto this tool. It's very cool. I don't know if you have done one of these little polls before, but if you go to follow the instructions here, go to menti.com and type in a code. There's going to be 2 questions that I'd like you to answer. Just as you are right now, answer from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And when you're done, just hit submit. And at the end, I'll show where we landed, where our average is, and that'll help me target the class. So please do that now. One's in.
Don't know how to do it.
Okay. So, okay, there's 2 in. So if you go to your web browser, if you're on a laptop, you can type in menti.com, and it'll ask you for a code. That code should be the one on the screen, 886-2339.
Yeah, I see that. I think I'm just gonna skip it. I don't know how to get to the web browser. I don't know how to do that. So
Okay,
I'll
that's
just skip
fine.
it. That's fine.
That is just fine, Barb. I'll give a couple more seconds for people to bring in their answers. 5, 6. Oh, we're coming in now. Okay. Thanks very much, everybody. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing, which is the averages and where everybody landed. So in the first question, I have specific techniques to address combinations within my section. Most people selected 3 right in the middle, neither agree nor disagree. So we had an average of about 3.5. A good range. Nobody is at strongly disagree, which is good. We have something that we're working with. And over here, I can confidently navigate and resolve common issues that arise in sectionals. Same sort of thing. We have an average around a 5. We do have a strongly disagree and a strongly agree. So we were fairly well scattered. We're sort of in the middle. Makes sense. That's why we're here, so that we can practice these skills. So let me do this. Flip back to the plan. We're going to talk through a couple of examples. And then I'd like to open the floor to you to talk about specific issues that we might help diagnose together. So there's other possibilities in every situation. This is one of the confounding factors, but it's also really important to understand. If you have a problem that you are seeing or hearing, there are multiple reasons for why that might be. It's not as simple as simply naming the problem and having it fix itself. So, for example, mismatched notes. What are potential reasons that you might hear multiple notes happening in your sectional when we are supposed to be singing a single part? Do they know the notes? How is their breath? Are they scooping into the note? Is there some pitch stuff happening? Is there tension in the body because they're afraid to screw up? Is this that spot in the music that's almost the same as it is later in the song, but isn't the same spot? Are they singing the right notes, but just not at the same time? All of these things could cause that same sound. So we would need to identify some way to pull those apart. Mismatched vowels as well, I'm seeing in the chat. It's another thing. It's weird how notes can sound different when we're singing the right notes on different vowels. Another example. So you're with your section, you're watching them sing a song that you've known for a while, and they're singing together, but there's a lot of dead bulbs in the section. So why could that be? I have some singers that with everybody, we aren't really aware that we're supposed to be doing something, or we think we're doing it, but it's not enough. Has anybody had that experience where you really think you're doing it and someone says, do it? Does that make you do it better? Generally not, no. So it helps to know in that case, so that you can solve the issue. Once again, you'll see this popped up in both of these nerves. If your section doesn't feel safe to put themselves out there, then you're going to get tentativeness and not a whole lot of engagement. So it's always really valuable in your sections to let people know it's okay to screw up. It's okay to sing a wrong note. It's okay to be silly. This is a place for creative expression. And perfection is not an achievable goal. Yeah, so there's a couple potential causes here. So how do we figure out among all the potential causes, what the heck actually is happening? So here's a couple of strategies that you can work with. I think it's really valuable to stop the section when you hear or see something and say, okay, I'm noticing that I'm getting uneven amounts of facial expression, or I'm noticing we're not really matching there. Let's just try it again and take another shot. Let people solve it themselves if they can. It saves you so much work if you don't have to figure out how to fix it, because you can simply ask people to try and fix it themselves. And a lot of times our singers are really talented, and they'll do a lot of the work on their own. If you're not sure, you can just ask. Bring the section into a dialogue. Tell them, I'm hearing this. If we run it again, I'm hearing this, and it's still not there. How strong do we feel on these notes? In general, they'll tell you. If you've established a good rapport, the people will say, yeah, I feel really strong on it, or no, I don't, or I'm not sure what's going on. And that can help you separate, do we know it, from are we out of sync, or is there a confusion thing happening? Are we on two different pages? I can't say this enough. Charlene, you mentioned this to me a few months ago, that it's really valuable to not be doing anything except watching and listening. If you have a chance, if you have a partner section leader or someone who has the ability to wave hands for the section, if you can step back and just listen without singing or directing, you'll be able to target in a little bit tighter on what you might be seeing or hearing. Don't be afraid to do that. And the person who you invite to step up will probably feel really happy that they got the chance to step up and be part of the team. We can, this is a little more solution wise, and Rachel will talk about that more tomorrow. Full disclosure, Rachel wrote most of this. I've gone through and I've tweaked it, but I love that she says, follow your instincts, trust yourself, and try something. In this case, we said, hey, our pitch is a little weird because maybe we're it's a little high. Maybe we'll try some alignment. Throw it at the wall and see what sticks. But as always, you're identifying what's going on, giving people a chance to try it again, and now you're giving them something that they can try. If it doesn't work, that's okay. You can move on to something else. But it's helping you cross things off the list that it might of those possibilities. There's recording. You can play that recording back for people immediately. I think this is really valuable. It's hard to get people to listen to themselves, but if you're listening to the group all together, that can be a little bit easier. And what better way to help enroll people in problem solving than to give them a chance to hear the product that they're producing immediately, and ask them, what do you think? What do you hear? And finally, if you're stuck, that's why you have support in your director and their team. You can send it up the line, say, I know this isn't working. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. So I'm going to ask the director and let's move on for now. Time in sectionals is always really tight. It's easy to get rabbit holed and drilled in on a tiny thing, but don't be afraid to pull the ripcord, as it were, and move along. Okay. So those are a couple of possible solutions, or a couple of possible ways to dial in on what the issue might be. We're going to look at a couple of other examples here. So I'm going to present an example of something that you might be seeing or hearing, and then I'm going to give you probably 90 seconds or so to write out a couple of possible issues that might be causing the discrepancy that you're seeing or hearing. After that, I'd like you to, I'll open the floor for people to talk about it. We'll make a list of the things that it could be, and then we'll talk about how to drill down and identify which it could be. Does that sound good? Already, right. The first one. So you're in the sectional and you hear people singing really tentatively. There's a sense of, you know, that sound when people are just not really leaning in and going for it. So take a second, write down a couple of possible causes for the tentative singing. What are the specific things that could cause this symptom in the section? And then if you have ideas for diagnosis, you can write those down too, but we'll discuss those together. So take a few seconds and jot it down. Let's take 15 more seconds. Okay, so we have here the section singing tentatively. What are some possible things that might be causing that sound? You can raise your virtual hand. You can unmute. You just pop in the chat, whatever feels comfy for you. Pull up my chat. Hey. Okay, Allison's given us a couple. Song might be new, lack of confidence, poor breath support, some distraction, don't know the music. Great. Sandy, what do you think?
I'm afraid to make a mistake.
Okay, afraid to make a mistake. Yeah, that's a common one. Notice how often that pops up. Okay, thank you, Sandy. What else? Does anybody else have something they want to contribute?
Lack of confidence in their own voice quality.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Another aspect of that lack of confidence, lack of sense of it being okay, not feeling well. Yeah. If you're a little under the weather. Yeah. What's up, Sally? I'm so sorry. You are muted, Sally. Should be able to press the space bar. Zoom is always Zoom. There it is.
Oh, hey, simply not sure of the notes.
Yeah, not sure of the notes. Okay, so I see a couple. Thank you, Sally. So I see a couple here. I see that the song might be new. We might not know the notes yet. We have lack of confidence in our voice or in our knowledge of the notes. I see poor breath support. I see distraction, and that we're trying something new that's not comfortable yet, or the range of the voice part is a little bit difficult, or you're not feeling well.
Yep.
Okay, so what could we do to try to sift some of these out? Some that are fairly common we see are lack of confidence, or we're distracted, or we're not bringing our best vocal skills. So what could we a new hand raised from Sandy? What could we do to see if that's the issue? Go ahead, Sandy.
Well, I like to emphasize that it's a safe space and no one's perfect. And so don't worry about making a mistake.
Yeah, I like that. Encourage people to try it again. Say, you want another shot at that? And people usually say, yeah. And then they take another shot at it. And that can quickly tell us if people take another shot and it's better, it was probably one of those three. That they were feeling unconfident, that they were distracted, or they didn't have their attention. What we do is a game that involves a lot of focus, right? If we're not paying attention to what we're doing, our autopilot is just not as good as our full focused performance. So, learning is messy. I really like that. I really like that, Candace. Come play in the sandbox with us. Okay, so if that doesn't fix it, they take another swing and it's still not there, or you hear the same tentativeness of singing. What might we ask then? We've eliminated some of the options. We don't know the music. We don't have strong breath support. The range is uncomfortable. No wrong answers. Come play in the sandbox with us. What do you think, Sally?
I just put the same thing down. I had 3 things written down. Not sure of the notes, lack of confidence as a singer, and afraid of making mistakes. I don't know what else I'm supposed to add to that.
Well, thank you, Sally. My thought is when we say, I see these things in the chat, we're going to get to it in a second. When we give them another shot and say, I give you permission to do it wrong. I give you permission to not be perfect. Okay. That often that eliminates or reduces the fear of making mistakes. Correct. And the lack of safety. So those are no longer valid possible reasons for why we might still have an issue. So then, as a lot of people are in here, we have 2 things. We could just ask them. Once again, always be willing to ask. We want to keep things flowing, but if you're stuck, ask. They might tell you. How strong are you feeling on the music? Hold up. I love hold up on a scale of I don't know it very well at all to I have it memorized. A scale of 1 to 5 on your hand. and you can see immediately how strongly they know the music. At that point, if they don't know the music, it's probably best to just say, okay, well, you know what to do. We're going to move on from this part.
Good.
And then as Sid said, just a reminder that I know we're in learning mode. We've just got this song new. Bring all of the skills that you have, all the things that your director or I might say. Think about what I might say to encourage you to sing better, and then just do that. Or fix one thing about it. That's also very helpful. Okay, and I love Sonia reminds us to slow down a little bit when we're in learning mode, to take things a little slower. Do your best to stay in tempo, but a slower tempo. Cool. Okay, well, let's take a look at another potential topic. And can someone remind me when our time is up here? Is it? I don't have the
It
schedule in front of me.
is 8:25, Drew.
Perfect. We got plenty of time. Okay. Second issue. They're not singing tentatively anymore. Everything's going great, but you get to that one part in the song where the rhythm gets a little tricky, and all of a sudden you hear mush. We are no longer together. The rhythms appear to be mismatched, or this part of the group is ahead of this part of the group. What are a couple of potential causes for that? And then we'll talk about diagnosis. I'll give you 45 seconds to jot down potential reasons that we might hear a mismatch in rhythms in the group. Okie dokie. Okay, we're already seeing a lot of stuff in the chat here. So slow tempo down in learning mode is still valid, Sonia. Thank you. So difference of opinion on what the correct rhythm is. Oh yeah, how many of us can identify with this issue? Everybody is confidently doing the rhythm that they know, and it just ain't the same one. Yeah. Cool, Meg. I like that one. Consonants are not tied to the following word. Breaths are not quick enough. Yeah. Level of understanding of sheet music, strength of musical literacy. Yeah. Rhythm different in repeated sections. This is the one where it's not quite the same when it happens again. Too much jaw movement. Yeah, there's a physical thing that you can watch for. Different amounts of time to take breaths. Yeah, look at that. Y'all have a lot of experience and great ideas here. That's wonderful. Yeah, rhythm different than what they might hear in a popular song or a popular version of this particular song. Okay, so we have a lot of causes. I'm going to try to boil them down here. So we've got, we disagree on what the correct rhythm is supposed to be. It's not clear to us whether because of our sheet music reading ability or because the learning track wasn't clear or because we just got it in our head in a particular way. This is very common on music we've had for a while. It tends to mutate over time without us realizing it. We have breaths are not quick enough or they're too long, which is another one that is a big deal. We're not thinking in terms of line, in terms of tying our consonant to the following word, and so we're losing time in the spaces. Or it just might be hard. It just might be hard. So as always, the first thing that we want to do when we hear something go wrong is we want to be in the same reality as the singers in the section and say, whoop, that went weird. You want to take another shot at that? And then we take another shot. And we see what happens. So if we take another shot and it's still not quite there, what might we do to help figure out what's going on? So we have asked them, that could be strong, and try it again. What else might we do here? If we have rhythm mismatch, that's a good one, Peg. Say, no, 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 like this. Or to point to someone that you know is going to nail it and say, Jen, can you sing that rhythm for us? I love that, Allison. Clap the rhythm is a beautiful way to help show people when they're together and when they're not. Or percussion sticks, same sort of idea. Speaking through it. Yeah, these are a lot of ways to these are a lot of ways to figure out whether they actually know the same thing, or if there's an issue. I like too much jaw movement as well. This is beyond diagnosis, but you can watch again to allow them to start and then just watch and see if you see, as Robman says, significant jaw flapulation as they're singing. Yeah, that'll slow us down, right? So I see wonderful solutions, singing vowel to vowel, using metronome, clapping hands for the rhythm, to have talking through the correct rhythm. These are great ways to do that, and to show people, as long as at the beginning we're making sure we're not diving directly to you don't know it. We're saying, take another shot, that wasn't together, and see if you can listen across. And once we hear that it's not that, then we can dive in and diagnose. See if you can hear consonant or breath issues. That's the other great thing about Do It Again, is you can then turn on your ears and your eyes to watch for what might be happening. Yeah, I'm going to let Rachel discuss that more. Cool. All right, let's do one more. Let's do one more. Okay. This is an interesting one. So you see people have their mouths closed when the group is singing. Probably not everybody, but there are people you notice with your eyes looking like this. What are some potential reasons that people might have their mouths closed as we are singing together? Take 45 seconds. Okay.
That's a strange.
Okay, so people's mouths are closed. I'm going to read through our chat here. Go ahead and drop your things in the chat, or you can raise a hand. So people are thinking about something else. They're distracted. They're lost or frustrated. They're dealing with a vocal issue. Once again, good old, they just don't know it is popping up. They are listening to those around them to see how it's supposed to go. Or they may be, they may be having a reaction to the emotional content of the music. That is absolutely something that can happen. And we have to be sensitive to calling them out in front of other people. So, okay, so we have a couple of things. We have distraction, or they are lost, listening to those around them. Good old they don't know it, or lack of confidence. And then the subject of the song might elicit a difficult emotional response. So in this sort of situation, what might we do to figure out what's going on? I mean, what's step one generally in situations where weird things happen? Try it again. Amen, Meg. You got it. Take a swing. Don't even really need to nail. Yeah, don't even really nail it down the issue. Peg makes a good point. This is an interesting one, is it's not necessarily causing a mess in the sound. I ask that people make smart choices around if they don't know something or they're not sure how it goes. Sometimes it makes sense to sit and listen if they're sure they don't know it, to see how it's supposed to go around them. Okay. So if there's just one or two people, this sort of issue is something that, as Peg said, in the moment we might just note that happened, and maybe keep an eye on that person or group of people. Yeah, ask the person if you sense they need help. This is the sort of conversation where I might wait at the door of the sectional room and pull them aside on the way out and just check in one-on-one, so we're in a private situation, and say, you know, I noticed there were parts of the song where you weren't singing along, and I just wanted to check in and see what might be going on. What's up? Give them as much safety as they can to make a choice as to communicate with you. I would not do that in the full chorus or the full section situation. If the entire section is refusing to sing, yeah, there may be a problem that's happening here. You may need to deal with. Maybe in this situation, maybe people are tired. I think that's something we can ask people. Like, I'm noticing energy levels are a little bit low. I know we've been in this retreat for 6 hours so far. Do you need a break? And give people a chance to relax and talk out what they're doing. People want to work, but also there's a certain amount. Yeah, maybe they're frustrated. This is something to try to suss out what's going on, but sometimes it's really helpful to bring this to your director and say, I'm a little concerned with this section. It's just not coming together. I'm not sure why. I was noticing people aren't really singing along. Do you have any ideas what might be going on? And they can help problem solve with you. Also, to talk to the rest of your section, the other section leaders in the other sections. Is it just your section on this spot, or is there something going on everywhere? That can help us diagnose if it's something in the music or it's something in specific individuals. We are dealing with people, and people are not, they are complex creatures. So we want to give people space to be human, while still honoring the fact that, you know, everybody wants to be making music here. Absolutely, we're grown-ups. Okay. Any other thoughts on this particular topic? One thing I might offer, if people are listening, I might ask them to, well, I don't know, if they're listening, I was going to say that they could audiate. They could sing at a volume 0. If they're choosing to step out of a piece of the music because they don't know it yet, I'd ask for them to still mouth along and smile and perform in the same way, and then go home and learn it. We don't want faces turning off in the middle of a performance. But if they are listening and trying to figure out what it is, then that would probably be detrimental and distracting. So we might split the section in half and say, hey, if you feel really confident about this, can you sing that? And then give people a chance to listen when it's their job to listen. They're not having to pretend to sing along. Okay, cool. So this is the closing activity, but I wanted to open, let's see, we have a little under 5 minutes. I wanted to see, are there strategies that you might use now to help narrow down the core issue? You just pop something in the chat. If there's something that you're hearing or seeing in your section, what's a strategy that you might try to narrow down what's going on? Look at posture faces. Try it again. I love it. Sit out and listen. Yeah. Yeah. Those are really helpful. Or if you have someone in your section, might not be a section leader, but has really good ears, asking them to come out and listen can be really helpful as well. I love that, Sonia. Yeah. Yeah. Ask them what they might have changed, what they might have done the second time around. People have all these skills that I try to remind Pride of Portland. The majority of the things I'm going to tell you, you've been told by fancier people than me many times. So it's not a question of not knowing. It's a question of actually doing the thing, right? So I give you permission to bring all of your attention and all of your skills to the fore. Yeah, recording it, listening to it, and asking for feedback. Breaking it down into smaller groups to sing together within the section. If you have a group that it's easier to tighten up 2 people, and then you can add to that and add to that and add to that. This is really helpful for tough note sections, baritone sections out there, when you have a bunch of disconnected notes throughout the range, to get some of your stronger singers to sing it together, and then add singers on one at a time can help it feel stronger or safer. People are folding into something that exists instead of trying to make it out of whole cloth. So tomorrow morning, Rachel Pack will be taking the second half of this class, where she will be going through a similar activity, but we will now have diagnosed the issue, and she'll be diving in more specifically to how we want to prescribe something to solve the issue. Often these two happen at the same time, where you try a prescription to see if it solves the issue by way of diagnosing it. Does anybody have, just out of curiosity in this last little time, are there things that, bits of wisdom that you'd like to share with your fellow section leaders, or questions about things that show up that you don't know how to handle in the section? And I'm putting it at the end so we can talk about it, but if we don't come up with a solution, then you can ask Rachel. What's up, Sandy?
I would like some ideas on how to help my section members correct notes. They've been talked about it, and done examples and given examples, and they're still singing those incorrect notes. I'm Sandy with Acapella Sensations Chorus, by the way.
Hi, Sandy with Acapella Sensations. That's a good question. How can you help them correct notes beyond when simply saying, hey, here's how it's supposed to be, isn't working? I think we have a couple possible ways to look at that. It might be awareness, that they're having a hard time telling when they're in versus when they're out. And so, yeah, are there any other things that could be? because we've eliminated that they don't know they're singing the wrong note because we've given it to them. I'll think on that one. What if your section sings well in sectional, but you can hear things going wrong when you sing with the other parts? Oh, I love it. I don't love it, but you know, this is something that happens. So in this case, are we comfortable singing in harmony? We feel fine by ourselves, but then you add the other parts and suddenly we're getting pulled off. This is where if you have someone in your section who can sing the lead part along with them, or if their lead section can sing another part along with them, to give them a chance in this safe environment where the whole section is on their side and there's one person on another part to practice this. Duetting, oh, I can't encourage duetting enough. Can't encourage duetting enough. We are unfortunately out of time. If you have any other questions for me, if you'd like to chat with me, this is my email address. I have been Drew, and I appreciate your time and your attention. And once again, thank you for being section leaders and an integral part of the musical leadership of your organizations. Mwah. Appreciate you.